Daryl Ruiter, brought to you by Scheib & Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store. Daryl, I got a very pointed question for you. You ready?
I'm standing by.
Which one would you rather watch tonight? Would you rather watch Victor Wembanyama?
Bing bong, bing bong, boom.
Wait, would you rather watch Victor Wembanyama, or would you rather watch Shohei Otani?
Shohei Otani.
See, I agree. And Lima said before, he's like, I'm watching Wemby. I was like, but it's
Now, if you told me...
first week of the season.
Yeah, I know. If you told me Otani was pitching, then I'm dialed in all game.
He had 3 home runs and three at-bats.
Yeah, that's the problem. You're only going to get to see him 4 or 5 times, and now...
That's the problem, the anticipation.
Will he even see any good pitches? Like, with Wemby, the ball's going to be in his hands. He is a monster on both ends of the floor, and he's the biggest freak I've ever seen in the sport.
Boy, you in baseball, you just suck.
I watched the World Series last year.
Well, apparently you're not going to because Victor Wembanyama is playing in his second game of the season. Hi, Daryl.
I'm sorry you have to deal with this for 4 hours a day, Ken.
Well, it's just silly. I mean, he's allowed to love basketball. Don't get me wrong, but it's like, come on, man. It's a World Series.
It's just the thing that always stinks with me in baseball is that you just don't get the opportunities to see stars be stars. They just get very few opportunities.
But that's
in the NBA, they get the whole game.
Well, and Shohei's coming off one of the most incredible games in Major League Baseball playoff history, if not ever.
He's not pitching tonight.
So what? 10 strikeouts, 3 home runs in a clincher?
So every 30 minutes, I'll flip over and watch him take pitches for 90 seconds.
Well, I'm sorry. I just can't watch the World Series tonight because, Sagapulatelli, Pio's nephew, is going to be playing for Cal against Virginia Tech at 7:30, and I mean he's the star of Cal, so he's always going to have the ball in his hands. So I have to watch that kid over Shohei freaking Otani. Like, I'm a football guy. Do you know how stupid that would sound if I was serious?
By the way, I'm shocked at Owen's take on this. Like he's
I'm actually
Guardians
more
guy.
I'm more Wemby than I am the World Series right now. I'd much rather watch that. Yeah.
You'd rather watch Wemby?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I mean,
I just bitched at Anthony yesterday. It's not fair. He shouldn't be allowed to call it a dunk because he doesn't jump off the floor. He just puts his hands up and puts the ball through the net.
It does seem unfair. I will say this, like the baseball, the pomp and circumstance, all that stuff for, the beginning of the World Series, that is cool. That is a really cool thing. And it is kind of a bummer that the World Series, when I was young, was the biggest deal.
That's fair.
Going. And now it's like, Kenny, there will be people that they'll choose that college football game over the World Series.
Well, yeah,
that's sacrilegious compared to what it was when I was young.
I don't understand how. One's got an interim head coach. The other one, I mean, I know a lot here. I could give you a whole Cal versus Virginia Tech breakdown if I want to, but I'm going to watch Shohei Otani.
Well, Cavs also play tonight.
Yeah, that's true. Forgot that they play the Nets. Wow. Damn it. Well, that wasn't part of the argument.
Yeah.
That wasn't part of the argument.
No, it wasn't.
I forgot during the argument that they do play the Nets tonight. All right, Daryl, let's get down to the football here. Could Sunday be make or break for Dillon Gabriel, friend?
I don't know about that. I mean, they're not even giving Shedeur Sanders first team reps. So I think for me, like if they start giving Shedeur Sanders first team reps in practice, that will be the attention grabber.
Well, why would they give a guy who's going to be a backup the first team any first team reps in practice when he didn't get a whole? I mean, he still didn't get a whole lot of first team reps. Dillon Gabriel didn't before, so you're kind of playing catch up, and you got to try to win a football game against somebody.
Dillon was getting first team reps in OTAs.
I know, but he still didn't get as much as some of the other guys did.
But still, like, I mean, Joe Flacco was here, and they found ways to get Dillon Gabriel reps in practice for that. I mean, just saying, like, they're not giving Shedeur the same type of treatment when it comes to reps that they gave Dillon Gabriel.
But isn't that part of
part of getting ready for a football game that you're trying to win?
Yeah, like Daryl, isn't that situation different?
No, see, if you can give Dillon Gabriel first team reps with Joe Flacco as the starting quarterback, and Dillon's your backup, then why can't you do that with Shedeur?
Joe's been doing it for 1,000 years. Dillon Gabriel's just starting his career. He needs everything he can get when he's getting ready to start a football game.
Okay.
Well, do you think, Daryl, that it's telling that they're not giving Shedeur any of those reps?
Yeah, I do.
You think that's telling?
Yeah, I think you get. I mean, what if something happens to Dillon on Sunday? And obviously, I don't want to think in those negative terms, but you're asking questions. Do you really think Shedor's ready to step on the field and take that thing over without having a single first-team rep?
I don't think I'd have a whole lot of excitement, or I shouldn't say I'd be excited. I don't. You
guys wanted him out there for the final drive last week.
Yeah, they hand the effing ball off, Daryl. I didn't say I wanted him to go conduct an offense and go win the game.
I wanted him to do a quick kick.
And by the way,
you know what? Dillon Gabriel put together a touchdown drive against the Ravens with the game out of hand. He didn't turn and hand the effing ball off, if I'm quoting you correctly.
Yeah, you can quote me. You can quote me. Go ahead and quote it. You can print it, because all I wanted him to do was hand the ball off, and then all I had to say was, yeah, you want Dillon Gabriel to finish the game that he won. Hey, you know what? That's a great point. I would have stood down, except Lima, as he does, used my words against me and turned it into a great big fight that everybody got to rip me for. And you know what, guys? Rightfully so, because I never thought about that, and I got involved in the argument, and I was wrong. But I'm not wrong against you here, Daryl. I will fight you to kingdom come all up and down Euclid Avenue if I want to, because I wouldn't have much I'd be excited, but I wouldn't have much confidence. I'd be very nervous, because I'm going to go ahead and take what Rap Sheet wrote and say that, yeah, they're going to have to change around the offense whenever he goes to start. So it didn't make much sense to me when they told that to Ian Rappaport, or they leaked it to Ian Rappaport, and now all of a sudden he's the backup quarterback who would go in before Bailey Zappi. Why? Because they don't want to get yelled at by the big bad media? Is that it? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever.
They don't want to wake up and turn on the radio and listen to you guys yelling and kicking and screaming about it. That's why they did it.
But I wouldn't have. I tried to get everybody ready to say, guys, they're telling you that the offense is going to be different, so it would make sense that Bailey Zappi would be the backup quarterback. And I thought a lot of us had agreed to it, or accepted it, not agreed to it, but accepted it. And then they make him the primary backup quarterback. I go, that's not setting him up for success if you just told me 4 days ago that you're going to have to change the offense around for the guy.
Well, if you're going to change the offense around, and by changing the offense around, we're talking about throwing passes beyond 20 yards, sign me up.
Well, that is still going to be a problem here coming up on Sunday, and that's why I bring up the Dillon Gabriel thing, Daryl, because I just think he's going to have to play well for them to have a chance to beat the Patriots. There's no Dolphin situation here. He's going to have to play pretty well.
Yeah, and I don't know that the dink and dunk offense that we watched the last 3 weeks is going to get it done either. The Patriots are one of the best at stopping the run. They're ranked third overall. They give up less than 3 yards per carry. I don't think they've allowed a 50-yard rusher. They don't give up explosives in the run game. Now, there's a first for everything, and that's why you play the games. But, these are the facts. And at some point, Dillon Gabriel is going to have to show you that he's capable of doing more than just checking the football down. I'm of the mindset, and I've said this on other shows this week, let it rip. And if he throws picks, he throws picks. At some point, we need to find out whether or not this kid can play. I personally don't think he can. I think he's a career backup in the making, and there's nothing wrong with that being a third-round pick. He's not a franchise quarterback. He's not a regular starter in my mind. He's a spot starter. And so let's find out. And again, if he throws some picks, he throws some picks, but let's see some throws down the field. Let's see him go through read progressions and try and throw guys open down the field and whatnot. Because, you can say what you want about the receivers, but I can't imagine it's fun being in that room when, you're running all these routes and you got a quarterback that can't throw the ball more than 10 yards down the field.
All right, Daryl, obviously this is the Mike Vrabel game, and I've seen some people critical of the Browns or the organization or even the owner that they let Vrabel get out the door, but there was not a job opening. So,
right.
Do you think that the Browns should be criticized the way they were with Kyle Shanahan?
No, to me it's a completely different situation. He came here just to, no disrespect, but he came here to fill some time. He wanted something to do, and he, did a little work with the front office. He coached the tight ends, ended up having to coach the offensive line for the bulk of last season as well. But and Kevin Stefanski touched on it earlier this week when he was asked about having the confidence to bring Mike Vrabel in and not worrying about looking over his shoulder and being concerned with Vrabel taking his job from him. And, Kevin talked about their friendship and the trust that they have between them. He's also talked about as far as advantage, disadvantage. He's like, hey, he was here for a year. I got to know him. And obviously, he got to know me. So I think, in Stefanski's eyes, that's pretty much a bit of a wash. I am concerned to see curious, I should say, to see if there is a tangible advantage that you can see on the field during Sunday's game with Vrabel being here the last year. But yeah, there was no job opening. He was, filling time, looking for something productive to do in the game while collecting his severance pay from the Tennessee Titans. Can't blame him for that. Now he's running the show up in New England. But no, it's a much different situation. I'm pretty sure there was not a PowerPoint presentation involved in his exit interview or whatnot. He was not begging to get out of here. It's not like they just replaced Brian Hoyer with Johnny Manziel. So I think that those situations are completely different.
Daryl Ruiter, brought to you by Scheib & Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store. Did you see the video of Miles' pregame speech?
No, I didn't.
We have the audio for you very shortly here if you'd like to hear that. Would you like to hear that?
Sure.
Because I have a question about leadership I'd like to ask you. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I mean, we had the backup quarterback last year giving the pregame speeches because the starter couldn't do it. So,
ladies and gentlemen, Myles Garrett. Listen closely, Daryl.
Coach keep on telling us to have some fun. Have some fun. Only way I know how to have some fun is winning. That's the only way out. Nobody having fun when we losing. Nobody having fun walking back to the locker room down. Clock 0, we down. Nobody likes that. So take that personal. That's the only way I know how to have fun. Take that personal. Whoop somebody ass. Finish. Win. Every quarter. Do that. Let's go. Win 0-3. 1, 2, 3.
Audio courtesy NFL. That's another thing that Lima tried to use my words against me. I asked him simple questions, and he turned it into me giving a theory. Because I do think that this is part of the frustration with Miles. I do think at times he's flirted with the idea of being a leader. Mm-hmm. But I don't think he's ever been able to carry it out fully because there's other things in terms of being a leader. It's more than just rah-rah speeches and things like that. We've talked about it so many times. But I also don't think it's too late for him to be a leader. He's still at the peak of his powers physically and on the field. And if he wanted to, it would be a very welcome thing considering that this team has been more than willing in the past and looks like they still could be more than willing even after a win over the Dolphins. More than willing to just settle on into a nice terrible season and let things go to hell the way they have so many times in the past. And a guy like Miles could certainly help change that feeling and perhaps help change the culture.
I agree with you, and especially after what Miles had said leading up to that game about his frustration, and even if they beat the Dolphins, not being satisfied with that, wanting to develop consistent winning here in Cleveland. And well, yeah, you can make a difference in that, Miles, beyond just racking up sacks and tackles for loss and quarterback pressures and quarterback hits. But you have to want to do it. It's not leadership is not something you can force. And I always feel like, and I have said this for years and years and years, the Browns have, it felt like, tried to manufacture leadership within their locker room. Leadership has to come organically. And if that pregame speech is just kind of part of that process for him to take over that mantle, because look, who's going to argue with Myles Garrett? Nobody. When he speaks, everybody listens. Young players come in and talk about wanting to follow his example. So, yeah, I feel like that there is a little bit of a vacuum, a little bit of a void. And it would be great if Miles sincerely wants to step into that role. And, hey, that's a pretty good pregame speech. And, again, it aligned with a lot of the things he had talked to us about the previous Friday.
Daryl, 30 seconds. Garrett Wilson, go.
I'm all for anything that makes this team better, and I think he would do that. They've got to find some way to infuse this offense with talent. Andrew Berry's very good at trading for wide receivers. And I don't foresee the Browns, with the trade deadline coming up, I don't see them collecting assets. I think that Andrew Berry will be looking for opportunities to improve the roster, both in the short and the long term, and I think Garrett Wilson would give them an opportunity to do that.
Daryl, thank you for the time. We laughed, we cried, we hated each other for a moment. Thank you very much, and we'll talk to you on Monday.
Enjoy Victor tonight there, Lima.
Going up against the Pelicans.
Yeah. That big old Spurs Pelicans rivalry. Who can miss that?
What a great matchup there. Got to see that.
It's just don't appreciate fine basketball.
Appointment television.
The Pelicans and fine basketball, you say?
I'd say Wemby is fine basketball.
Cleveland Cavaliers are a team that could play in the Eastern Conference Finals. You don't want to see them?
I'll be watching them as well.
Oh, I'm sure. Now we can just watch anything.
Yep.
Oh, that's interesting. Just amazing how things change.
Owen promised he would text me every time Shohei was getting ready to get into that batter's box.
That's not how the question works, and you know that's not how the question works. Thanks to Daryl. He was brought to you by Scheibman Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry